Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining another episode of the Educational Leadership Podcast. We have another very special guest. Before we introduce our guest, we do want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Ideal Impact. Ideal Impact's giving away hundreds of millions of dollars to public education in the form of a free gift. So if your district needs unrestricted funds, reach out to Ideal Impact. Okay, today we have another very special guest from Blue Ridge ISD. We have Dr. Floyd. Dr. Floyd, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Appreciate the invitation.
Absolutely. It's always fun and interesting and exciting to meet with different superintendents around Texas and Oklahoma and hear their story and the positive things happening in public education. So if you can, for our listeners, share a little bit about kind of where your district's located and a little bit about your background.
All right, very good. So this is my second year as superintendent of schools in Blue Ridge Independent School District, and Blue Ridge ISD is in the northeast corner of Collin County. So Collin County is northeast of Dallas, and it's one of the fastest growing counties in the nation, not only Texas, but in the nation. So that growth has already, fast growth has already a number of school districts around us, Melissa and Princeton and Farmersville and some others, and it's coming to us next. So we are in the process of trying to get in front of that growth process and planning for that. But as far as my background, this is my 39th year in education, and of that, this is my 28th year as superintendent of schools. So been at this for quite a while. Spent 28 years in public education in Texas the first go round, and the last 14 of those years as superintendent of schools in Stephenville ISD, about an hour southwest of Fort Worth. 14 years there as superintendent, then retired in 2014. Went across the Red River and up to Enid, Oklahoma, and rehired up there, and was large school superintendent up there in Enid, Oklahoma for 9 years. Retired for the second time in the summer of 2023 and moved back to the Dallas area to be closer to my only grandchild at this time, who's a 19 months old boy now who lives in Plano. So it's nice to be close to him. And now my son and his wife are pregnant with their second one. So good things coming. So happy to be here. And yeah, I've seen a lot in my career, and happy to share a few things.
Yes, yeah. It sounds like you've seen a lot, and congrats on the new grandkids.
Thank you.
Amazing. And I mentioned Oklahoma earlier because we've started interviewing superintendents from Oklahoma, but you got Oklahoma and Texas covered. So this is added bonus here as part of the
killing
interview.
two birds today. That's right.
There you go. Very exciting. So a lot of great things happening. We've had so many conversations, excuse me, around finance, around a ton of different things happening in public education. What's on your radar right now as far as exciting things or things you're passionate about in public ed?
Well, for us here locally, it's the how to deal with the fast growth that's coming our way. We have 6 housing additions that are either already started or planned in our school district. So the demographers are projecting that we're going to double in size in the next 5 to 7 years, depending on how fast those housing additions come up. But we're trying to plan for that. Obviously, that's a monetary issue, and so we're planning for the next bond election that we will go to voters with probably in May of this coming May, and to build an additional campus, and that'll kind of be step 2 of the growth process, and then step 3 will eventually be a middle school, and then the step after that will be another high school. So fast growth planning is taking up a lot of our time here, but statewide, I was fortunate when I was in Stephenville to serve in a number of statewide leadership roles. Served as president of the Texas Association of Mid-Sized Schools for a couple of years, and then later served as president of TASA as well. And so the statewide issues, I think, are obviously the state sitting on the largest pile of rainy day funding that they've ever enjoyed, and then not releasing any of those funds to public schools last legislative session. So we hope that that gets resolved this time. I anticipate that they're going to make a strong push to get vouchers passed before they do that. The governor and others tried to put their full force of trying to get people unelected that voted against vouchers. And I think they were successful in a number of those election cycles. But we'll see what happens with that. My entire career, I've spent a lot of time, effort, energy, and money fighting against vouchers because I don't think it is um, where we should be in spending public dollars for private education. I think that's a bit unconstitutional. But if that's going to happen, then I say, if we're not going to be able to um, prevent it, I say let's get on about it and release the funds that we know public education needs to fund day-to-day and give teachers pay raises, et cetera.
Absolutely, and that topic's come up a few times. I know, as you know, I'm sure in Oklahoma, they're using vouchers now, and it's interesting hearing the different perspectives around that. We've had some different superintendents on talk about it. Curious though, so your district, you mentioned it's one of the fastest growing in the state. What's causing that, you think?
Well, I think a lot of people want to move out of the Metroplex, not be directly in it, but still have access to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. That's part of it. Another part of it is people flooding out of other states that want to enjoy a lower tax burden and threshold, and so they're coming to places like Texas, and they want to kind of have the best of both worlds. And we're in a 3A district here, kind of a mid-sized school district, but it's going to grow. And I think people also want to enjoy getting their kids educated in a mid-sized to a small district where they can feel part of the family, but also feel that they're safe and secure while they're doing that.
Makes sense. And any idea, and maybe you don't have the answer to this question. So, we meet with a lot of districts around Texas, and some, are just staying the same size, some are shrinking a little bit, some are expanding. And and I and there's a lot of like big picture things happening. It seems like people can move anywhere around Dallas or Austin or Houston. What do you think makes them come to your small area, that area right where you guys are at?
Well, we are still considered rural, so a lot of people want to move out of the metro concrete mess and the day-to-day traffic and be able to purchase 1 or 2 acres and have some flexibility and freedom there and be in a rural setting. And I think that some of the small school aspects that we still can offer that other large districts have to contend with is still advantageous for us. It's still appealing to parents to want to come to a rural area like this and have their children be a kind of a big fish in a small pond, as opposed to just being a number and getting lost in a high school that has 5 or 6 thousand students in it.
Yeah, yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I actually saw that with I grew up in a small school myself. My wife grew up in a bigger school, and it's interesting how education is affected based on the size. I personally feel like some of the smaller schools. I mean, I even saw with Texas A&M and junior college versus Texas A&M. Some of the time I feel like, man, maybe I got a better education at the junior college than at
Hey,
a.
I tell people that all the time. Nothing wrong with going your first 2 years to junior college. My son did the same. I did that, and my son did the same thing. He's a good baseball player. Went to McLennan Community College his first year out of high school in Stephenville High School, and had a good baseball year there. Got on Tim Tadlock's radar at Texas Tech, and finished his last 3 years playing baseball at Texas Tech, and helped him to the College World Series twice while he was there. So it was a lot of fun, and I tell people all the time, there's nothing wrong with getting your basics out of the way at a junior college, and it's a lot cheaper on the parents, and a lot of advantages to that.
Yes, yes, having the smaller classrooms and teachers there to support you along the way. Yeah, absolutely. And so, uh, your district right now, what's exciting happening at your district where what are some of the good things happening?
Well, one good thing that's happening here is that when we got through, I came a year and a half ago. So I came in the summer of a year ago, summer of 23, and our head football coach left shortly thereafter, and so it was too late to do a search, so I elevated the OC. Kind of went through a mediocre type season there, and at the end of the year, I opened it up and did a full search. Ended up hiring Jason Russell as our new head football coach and athletic director, and kind of gave him carte blanche to clean house and bring in a whole new coaching staff. So every one of our coaches are new, and there have been some significant advantages to that. Not only on the football side, that we've only lost one game this year so far, and that's unusual and a bright spot for Blue Ridge High School and the district as a whole. But also a number of those coaches are outstanding teachers and are bringing great things to the classroom, from Spanish teaching in the classroom to heading up our one of the coaches' wives is heading up our special education program now, and there just been a lot of ramifications that are positive for the development of what I consider to be a really top-notch coaching slate of teachers and coaches, and that's influence on our students district-wide.
Got it. And it's I was actually having this conversation the other day with another superintendent, and it's amazing how much athletics makes an impact in other areas of the school. Just kind of setting that. Yeah. A lot of times students don't get up in the morning saying, I want to go do math, right? I want to go do lots of I mean, some do, right? But a lot of times it's just that pride in your district, and
Yeah,
it
they'll
comes
get
from the
up to
sports.
participate in an extracurricular activity, whereas they won't get up to go to the math or English class. But yeah, I've been around a lot of strong extracurricular programs in my career, not the least of which was Stephenville, which we had a lot of athletic success there. And often, as the football season, oftentimes that's how your semester goes or your entire year goes. And we are reaping some of the benefits that kind of infuse some enthusiasm with this new coaching staff. And, anytime everybody's happy about that and the kids get more involved, and it's a win-win for sure. And that kind of success breeds success, and that kind of trickles into academics and other things as well.
Love it. Yeah, absolutely. Well, last question here. I know we're running short on time, and we do these 20-minute segments because people listen in while they're driving or working out or whatever. Just is little nuggets of information here. If there Obviously you've been in public education a while. I'm sure you've experienced some leaders that have inspired you. Who's a leader that's still in public ed right now that comes to mind that may want to come on the podcast and share their story?
Oh, sure. I can give you a whole list of names, and I'll do that offline as well. I'll send you some information. But I would encourage you to reach out to Dr. Gail Stinson, Stinson. She's the superintendent at Birdville ISD in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And interesting because I gave her first administrative job like 100 years ago when I was out in East Texas in my first superintendent position at Linden Kildare, which, oh, by the way, is the hometown of the Eagles band. I'm sure you knew that, right? Uh, but so I hired Gail as a high school assistant principal, then moved her to middle school principal, and she went on to greatness, a number of different positions, was assistant superintendent at Texarkana, superintendent at Lake Dallas, and now she's superintendent at Birdville ISD. She'd be a good one. I can give you some names of some other Texas superintendents and Oklahoma superintendents that I think would be great for you to visit with as well.
Fantastic. Yeah, we're always loving to meet other leaders in public education because there's so much positivity going on. There's so many great things happening in public ed, and we're trying to get that out there to everyone that's listening. We have a large following right now of superintendents, board members, and other people that are interested in public education. So, um, Dr. Floyd, really appreciate your time today. Before we close out, any last thoughts for any superintendents or board members out there?
Yes, absolutely. I would just encourage people not to be apathetic about voting. We're coming up on very shortly. We'll be starting early voting, and then got the November election. So I would encourage folks not to leave it up to others to set the direction of the state and the nation as well. The election might not turn out like you want it to, but at least you've had a voice and going to the polls and having your vote recorded as well. So in education, we try hard not to advocate for any particular candidate or um, any party, but certainly we can encourage people to get out and vote, and I want to strongly encourage everybody to do that.
Thank you. Yeah, so important. Thank you, Dr. Floyd. Thank you for your time. And before we close out, we do want to give a final shout out to our sponsor, Ideal Impact. Ideal Impact's giving away hundreds of millions of dollars to public education in the form of a free gift. So if your district needs unrestricted funds for any of your initiatives and goals, reach out to Ideal Impact. And for those that have been tuning in, stay tuned for future episodes of the Educational Leadership Podcast.